love Trello. I have Trello on my phone, Trello on my computer. There are other similar softwares, and some of the stuff we're going to talk about today you could apply to different apps. Like Monday.com is the other big one that I hear a lot about, and there are a few other different ones that are cropping up. And I think the key is to find one that aesthetically stimulates you. I think when it comes to organisation, we really underestimate how much aesthetic stimulation will help our productivity. So some people like to have loads of stuff going on around their office. They'll have loads of colour, loads of they might have bright lights and fairy lights and all these different kind of things. They might like to burn a candle, have all these different stimulations, and that is what makes them more productive. Whereas other people like a really blank canvas, and that's what makes them more productive. I've kind of got a bit of both. Behind my wall, directly behind my computer, there is nothing on the wall, and then to the left of my right of my computer is loads of bits on my wall, so I'll kind of can flip my gaze between whether I need a plain space or a more stimulated space. And I think that is exactly what it's like when you're trying to find a to-do list software that works for you. So Trello, I love it, and I think it's got, particularly in the free version, I've never done a paid version of Trello. I've only ever done the free version. I think it offers all the elements that the majority of people will need. And sometimes upgrading, we feel drawn into upgrading into the fancy bits of apps and stuff. But actually, the upgrade just becomes overwhelming, and there's too many things, and we don't end up doing any of it. So very much get used to the basic. I've been using Trello for years, years and years and years, and I still haven't had to upgrade it once. There is one thing I might have to upgrade it for recently, but I'm hoping I can get away with doing it on the free trial, and that is based off today. I would like to make a Trello template that is a shareable link for everyone that's in the group, so that you can just copy the template and have the basics that we're going to talk through today. That is the only feature I've found that I can't get in the free section. So I need to work out, if I do the free trial on it, can I create the template, then leave the free trial and still have a template? It won't let me turn a board into a template otherwise, which is very, very frustrating. So I'm just going to bring my basic Trello board up. Let me just close all the extra things and to go back to the home page, and then screen share for you all. And then we've also, on Monday the 16th in the evening, we're going to do a second session that's like a Q&A. So you've got basically a week to play around with it, see if you've got any additional questions, and we'll just use that time to go over. We can go over anything from today that maybe didn't quite make sense, or if you've played around with it and you're having any issues or whatever for you. That is what Monday will be about. Let me get this up to screen share, and I want to screen share that one. Cool. Can everybody see that? Yeah. Cool. This is why I have such a big computer screen, so I can now put like zoom in this bit and this bit and this bit, and you can't see all the different boxes that are on my screen. I can just show you the bit that you need to see. Let's just make that a little bit smaller so I can see it better. There we go. Cool. So I just use one Trello board. If you don't have anyone that you are collaborating with on your to-do list, so you can have more than one person that has access to your board, then I would suggest at the very least starting out with just having one board. The one time when I do set up separate boards is if I'm doing a project with someone else. So for example, if I was doing like a massive house renovation with my partner, we might have a separate board that we both had access to, because he doesn't need to be overwhelmed with everything else that's on my board. I want to be able to be free to not have to worry about anyone else seeing what's on there if it's not spelt right or whatever. I can put ideas for his Christmas present on there and stuff like that. So that would be when I would set a separate board up. Or when I used to have a VA, I had a separate board for work, and we both had access to that. And then my general life was just my personal stuff. There might be a couple of little work bits on there, but the majority of my work would have been on the other one. But that would be the only time where I'd split boards. Some people love to have many boards, and I find that particularly if you're new to Trello or have struggled with organization before, find it very easy to forget things, get overwhelmed by things, that having loads of separate boards is not going to make life easier, because you are just going to see this title when you sign on of each of the boards and go, oh, where do I start? Whereas if you go, and I'm going to give you a little glimpse into mine, we're going to set up a new one from scratch, so don't be too overwhelmed by this. this I can scroll along and see everything in one go. I can do this on my phone, and I can't see it quite as well as this, but on a desktop, whenever I'm doing any big management stuff, I will open it out and I can see everything that's going on. I can see all the different labels of what's going on, and I get a nice easy overview. So this is what I prefer to predominantly have, just one Trello space. But we are going to go in and set up one from scratch. So I sign in through my Google, and if you go onto, so it's just trello.com, and create a account, you can sign, I think possibly there's options to sign in through Facebook or whatever that, and it signs you up. It's owned by a company called Asana, she says, famous last words. I said that right. That's close enough. You know what I'm like with pronouncing things. Atlasana. We'll go with that. See, I don't pronounce anything correctly. I'm sure I'm pronouncing Trello right though. So it's owned by those, so it might say that you're setting up an Atlasana, let's call it Asana, an Asana account. But it's all the same thing. It's all the same thing. So we are going to go in and create a new board. So title board, I like the title General Life, because it is general with everything life. I'm going to put examples so I don't get confused. There's loads of, like I say, you can get overwhelmed with options, and this is another one. Straight away you're in, it's like gives you loads of different backgrounds. I personally, drives me nuts having a picture as a background. I just find it way too distracting. I do like having a colour, but these are quite bright. See if there's anything more. No, nothing nice and pale. Just start off with, so we're going to have to go with that. You can change it once you're in, and update it, and then start with template. This is the one thing that I want to update, the paid one, because you can use a template with a free one, you just can't create one, which is very frustrating. So it's going to open up and look something like this. Beautiful. And I'm now actually going to jump back to my one. Okay. So what we've got in here is we've got all these different boards, different lists, and then you can do lists within these lists. So you see here, you've got the little numbers. If we click on there, you've got lists within the lists as well. So what you want to be thinking about is when you have an overview, is being able to have an overview of your life within a certain amount of columns. We don't want to be having too many that becomes overwhelm. At the moment, I've got quite a few different projects going on with work, so I have split my work into 3, but usually that is 1, maybe 2. There's just a lot going on at the moment, so I've broken it down a little bit more. So what we want to be doing is putting in our basic structure. So my first one that I always have, if any of you've done the Life Goal Affirmations course, funnily enough, this one I always call my life goal. Oh, now you're going to see how badly I type affirmations. And what I would do is put in here as each one of the cards as one of my life goal affirmations. This, I do kind of use it a bit more as a reference point, but also if anything comes into my life, I'm like, oh, if I did that, that would really serve that life goal affirmation. So looking up at my list at the moment, one of my examples would be, so my second life goal affirmation is I have a strong relationship with God. Now, maybe so I have these, so I have those all written down in here, and something pops up. There's a course that looks really good, or a retreat, reconnecting with your spirituality and God course, something like that. Then I might pop a link to that course in my life goal affirmation. It looks like, oh, it'd be nice to do. It doesn't have a specific timeline or deadline or anything yet. It's just a thought. It's a thought that supports a life goal affirmation. I would pop that in there. Wait, so we've got a question. Right. So once you've signed in, you should be brought to, once you've signed in and created an account, you should be brought to Workspace, and there should literally be a button that says create new board. Have you got that? You can unmute if you've got questions. Do unmute and shout, because I don't always see the chat. Abena, where have you got to on it? On finding? Have you found the board?
Hi Jess, yes, I have found it. Sorry, I can't chat. I'm in the office, so that's why I put everything in chat for you.
No, that's all right.
Oh, okay, so I think I've got you now, so I'm following. Post that.
Perfect.
Thank you.
So use that moment to have a mouthful of coffee. I say coffee, it's a salted caramel mocha that I've made myself. It's very yummy. It's like having pudding. So I would have my life goal affirmations in here. So I'm going to type my own ones out. I'm not going to type them all out because that would just take ages. But so I have them all in there, and then I use that as a bit of a brain dump space. If anything comes in and I'm like, I feel like that would really support one of my life goal affirmations. And in the end, we should get to a point, hopefully, in life where everything we do supports our life goal affirmations, because that is who we are and how we want to be showing up in the world. And if we had a guide for everything we should do in life, surely it should come back to who we are and how we want to show up in the world, which is why I always keep that list as the first. It's always my first board. No matter how I've rearranged my Trello, that has always been like my first board on there. And I will, like say, drop little things. And you can also, we'll go into more detail later, but you can also add other things. It doesn't just need to be a list. You can add pictures and links and stuff, but we'll talk about that later. But it just means when I am setting up all these other boards, when I'm putting something onto my to-do list, when I'm setting up a project, I'm always reminded of my life goal affirmations. I'm always reminded, does this connect back to who I am and how I want to show up? Is this right with me? This is the list of you. This is who you are. And it's very, very easy to get distracted in life and have all these external influences and all these different things that make us think, oh, actually, I should do this and I should do that. And we always want to be bringing it back to these life goal affirmations. Am I showing up? How I want to be showing up in the world, as who I am and in the world. And my camera's just gone a bit funny. Can you all still see me okay? I don't know why that's disappeared. Hopefully it's still working. Well, I suppose at the moment it doesn't matter if you can see me or not. You just need to be able to see the screen share. So there you go. There you go. Now I know you can see me, but I suppose that doesn't matter. I'm on off. Cool. Okay, I worked out why it wasn't working. So that would always be my first recommended list. Second one that I do is goals. Now, I used to have this as a subsection to life goal affirmations, but as I talked about earlier, it's always nice to be able to see things in one clear vision. So I started having it as its separate list. Now, this is why I would like to have it as a template, so that you can just click copy and you won't have to do all of this bit. So coming back to mine as an example, I've got my monthly goals. So this would be this month coming up, then my yearly goals for the year we are currently in, then my next month's goals, which I'll open this one up for you just to show you. It is literally just space to fill it out. And so this is what I would like to, and I'm going to have a play literally after this workshop. I'll have a play and see if I can get it set up. But it's literally, it's an empty space for me to add my goals into, broken into the format that I teach in the membership. So it all follows along the same line. So I literally practice what I preach. And then I have also broken my yearly goals into the 3 sections that we talk about. So in each of these, it's got those little bit more details on each of my goals broken down into steps. And then I have for the next few years, again, it says 0 of 12, like I've got 12 goals set already. I have not. I have space for 12 goals. Don't you're looking at thinking, crikey, she's planned all her goals out till 2027. I have not. I have no idea what will be happening in 2027. And then I've kept, at the moment, I've kept my goals from 2022 at the bottom. And that monthly goals one is just the template. So that's the one I duplicate each month when I'm creating it. So we are going to go back in to R1 and set up our goals. The goal setting workshops are still available in the membership. If you want to go back and do them, I know obviously some people did them with me. Abadan, I think you've been working through them. That is the one where we had the third one did not, the audio dies at 4 minutes. We have no idea why. I played around with it. I've done all the magic tricks that I've done before that have normally fixed that issue, and none of them have fixed it. So I have typed out session 3, and you can find it in the downloadable section, or if you shoot me a message, I can email it over if you can't find it for whatever reason. So yeah, section 3 for the yearly goals workshop is a readable instead of a watchable, I'm afraid. Well, you can watch, there's just no sound. Not very helpful. So we would have our January goals. Next one is going to be yearly goals for 2023. Oh, too many 2s. I'm so used to writing the double 2s. Oh, the typing. Goals. And then we are going to have magic course family. Oh, cool. So don't worry, as you can see, if you spell any of them wrong, if you click on them, when it opens it up, you can click up the top and change the title. Absolutely fine. But this is how I would break down this as my second page. Again, having it second board, having it really easy access so that you can see what is going to be going on, what is the key things we want to be bringing ourselves back to, what are the goals that we set ourselves for, what are we doing, all the things that connect into these key goals. So this is probably the list I'm in the most. It's always making sure that whatever I'm doing from over here relates to here, and whatever is in here relates to here. So we're staying true to ourselves. This is the key. We always want to be staying true to ourselves. And then I won't type in the other lists right now, because that will take a long time. Oh, no, let's put one more in just to give you an example. So then I would have my yearly goals. And then the other years, etc., etc. I like to have them there in case something comes up. It's not so much, it's more that if we leave something batting around our head, it's going to keep ping-ponging around our heads and driving us nuts. We've talked about this before, and I couldn't remember the name of the game, and I've now forgotten it again. Pinball. It's like a pinball. If you leave something in your head, it will keep pinballing around, and it is using your energy, it is using your brain power. We don't want it to be doing that. We want to put it somewhere. And it doesn't matter even if it ends up on the wrong year. you're like, oh, I'm going to put it in 2026 because I think that's roughly when it will happen. It just gets out of your head. It frees up some capacity, and it means it's somewhere, so you don't forget it and get to 2026 and think, I'm sure there was something I wanted to do this year and I can't remember why. That's why I like to have those ones. They are like brain dump storage. I think it's probably a good description for those, brain dump storage, so that you can see in your well, you can see, no, you can free up space in your head. Abena, have you got your hand up?
Yes, I have. So, quick question, please. I'm speaking quite lowly, so I hope you can hear me.
Mhm.
So, why have you set up? Because I've seen you setting up the goals. You've done January monthlies, and then you've done yearly goal 2023. Why isn't it inverted so that you've got the yearly goal first as the card, then the January, February?
Okay, so January is the month we're in. I won't put March up there until February moves up. So when January's done, it goes to the bottom. February gets moved to the top, and I would put March in here.
Oh, I see. So
I
you
don't
don't set up monthly for the whole year.
I don't set up monthly for the whole year. It is something I've talked about, and I know some other coaches do this. They'll plan out every month ahead in advance. I particularly at the moment, and I have done that in different phases of my life, I have done that. I think at the moment, with the world that we are living in and how fast everything is changing, that becomes a bit counterproductive to plan too many months ahead. I think having the year as an overview, so knowing what you want to get done within the year can be helpful, and being realistic with like looking at it thinking, is this enough stuff that I can get done within a 12-month window? And sometimes there might be certain things that I'm like, yes, this definitely needs to happen in March. I will have that on my yearly overview sheet, which is in section 3. Section 3 of the yearly goal workshops, is having that yearly overview sheet. I think I've got one on my wall. I can show you. Seems me finding it on the thing. So I will have mine on there. So I roughly know if there's any key things that have to be done in certain months, I have that in there. But I find if I actually have my month, if I spend all that time planning out each individual month ahead of time, so much will change. So much will change. And just checking in, doing my yearly goal, my monthly goal setting. So we do that. We're now going to have that this year. Every month we are going to have that as a workshop. I think last year in the membership we did it every couple of months, and we had the video up so you could join in anytime. We are going to do that every month now as a live, because it's so beneficial. And I'm always doing it. I do it myself every month, so we thought might as well bring it to the membership and have it as a live in there. And so each month we are going to check in with our yearly goals, work out what needs to happen in this coming month to move ourselves towards achieving those by the end of the year. I'm just finding, like I said, that it's, I don't want to say a complete waste of time, but I think there's too much flux in the world for it to justify the amount of time it takes to break down our monthly goals at the moment. If that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, got it.
Cool. So I have the February one there. So through January, if something crops up, also sometimes maybe things don't go quite to plan. We had some really bad news on Sunday. So chances are that some of my January stuff will get moved around as what happened sort of unfurls. Unfortunately, there's going to be a funeral and things like that will mean that January is probably not going to go to plan, and it means I've got a very easy move. I can click on one of my goals in here and I can move it over to, I can copy and paste it, I can move it over to February very, very easily. So that's why I always keep the next month there. It's sort of, again, that brain dump storage, so I'm not keeping things in my brain. This is my brain. Trello is my brain. It's the bit of my brain that works. So I keep the one ahead, but not too far ahead. So you might also find that same concept with the years. You might not want to have 5 years worth of things. We've got quite a few projects we're trying to work towards over the next couple of years at the moment. But 18 months ago, I only had 1 year ahead. So I only had 2022 and 2023 because I didn't want to look any further ahead. I didn't have a picture for any further ahead. I didn't want to paint a picture for any further ahead. At the moment, I have 5-year ones because we are looking a lot further ahead at the moment. But again, it's having somewhere to put the information without it then becoming an overwhelm and being counterproductive and causing you issues. Where did I get to? Oh, yeah. So within January goals, we are going to set up some more of this in a minute, but let's get the rest of our boards in. So the next board I recommend having is personal. Literally anything that related personal to me. My professional, which obviously not everyone works for themselves or has a job or anything. You might not need a professional board. That could be if you have a volunteer position or anything you relate to professional. I find most people tend to have something some way of splitting personal and professional. And then my next one that I recommend is home. So for me, that's like DIY. That's basically ends up being DIY, cleaning related things, bill paying related things, all those fun things we as adults have to do and really don't want to do. My next one is friends and family. So for me, I actually call my friends and family one. At the moment, I've merged home and friends and family because I haven't got a huge amount of DIY stuff going on. And again, I'm always looking to condense down my number of lists. So when I set it up for new clients, these are the lists that I do, but you always want to be looking to condense it down. So if you never have very much stuff to do in your home, your bills are all set up on direct debit, it's easy. You could look at combining these two lists, but we will talk about that a bit more in a minute. You might also choose to name that. That can be another alternative for that name. So I have, I think at the moment I just call it home. But you could do, that could be Harry and Felicity, it's my partner and my little one. It could be loved ones, but it's that kind of thing. It's items that are related to other people you care about. But that's a bit of a mouthful, so we don't want to put that in as the title. My next one would be hobbies. And then this last one is a recommendation, but this is a do as I say, not as I do one. I have had one before, so completed some. Let's be honest, most of us get that lovely reward from seeing the things that we've done and got done, and it is like that gold star and that tick. So I have at periods, I don't at the moment just because I've got quite a few boards, but having a completed, so when you complete anything from any of your other lists, being able to move it into here, and you can actually set that up as an automation. So once a task is fully completed, it moves to the completed list as well. You can set that up, so Trello does that for you, and that sort of next level Trello understanding. But it can be lovely to have this beautiful list of all the things you've completed, but it is up to you. It's very much a personal preference. So it's something I set up for clients to start with when I first set up Trello and things for them, but it's not something I always use myself. Yes, my lovely.
Okay. So what would you have under personal that wouldn't fall under hobbies, for instance? How would your personal differ from, say, your hobbies or home or family and friends?
How do they break up? Yeah.
What would you put under there? Yeah, what would you put under there?
Cool. So let me. Sorry, I realised I was like, I'm not looking into my camera. It's because my camera disconnected. So apologies for that. I don't know where it's gone. I'll remember to look this way. So, like I said, we want to be aiming to have as fewer of these lists as possible. These are the categories that I set up for people because part of when I work in person with people, I will set up their Trello boards for them and put all their, like, I'll get piles of to-do lists and notebooks and things from people, and I'll put everything into Trello for them. These would be my starting ones. However, you might find that you have less in certain boards and you prefer to merge boards. Wouldn't it be lovely if we only had 4 and we could see it all in one go in the screen? What have I got at the moment? I think I'm probably the similar number to this. It would be lovely to just have to be able to look at this and be like, life, I've got my goals, here's my personal, here's my professional, and I don't need any other boards. So I do, over time, you will find that you are able to merge them. These are just a good starting point for having the different places to break them down into. So for me, personal might be things that are more like my will. I'm trying to think of any examples, but it's going to be a bit doom and gloomy at my examples at the moment. If I wanted to, I could put my morning routine in there. If there were things to do with my health and fitness, doctor's appointments, tracking, anything like that, I might want to put in there. If I wanted to do a new journaling practice, anything related to that is very much just me central. So it's not about the home environment I live in. If you live on your own, home and personal might be the same column. Whereas for me, I live with, got lodgers, we've got my partner and my little one, and we've got family moving in soon, and there's a lot more complexities to the home list than it would be to personal. So I personally like to split those. I also find that when you are first setting it up, having different categories to prompt your brain to think, oh yeah, okay, now I wouldn't have thought about my leaky roof under the term personal, but I will remember to put my leaky roof on under the term home. And hobbies, again, you might change the word hobby if you have specifically like one hobby that has a lot of to-dos to it. So for a while I was on the committee for Toastmasters, which is like a speaking thing. And I had a Toastmasters board. So it was my hobbies board, but it actually said Toastmasters here. So if you particularly run a club, that might be that you change the word hobby to that club title. However, if you have a hobby that only has a couple of little things in it, maybe you're really into knitting, so you only need a small space for it, it might become a card on your professional board. So these are my suggested lists to start with, but you might find that you condense them down. Like I say, I've now condensed family and friends and home into one list. I don't need 2 separate lists anymore for it. I've reduced how much I've got going on down in each. So these are my suggested starter ones, but they will merge and blend, and you'll find words that suit you better for each one of them. I find like goals is goals, but the other ones you will find, yeah, different words that will suit you better. All right, next one, we are going to have another mouthful of coffee. Is labels. So you'll notice if we jump back onto my actual one, these pretty colours that we've got here. Let's open up chest of drawers. These are labels here, so they will come up as different colours and they are referred to here. So you have to go into one of your items to set them up normally. So we'll put something on the board in a minute. And then these are my main recommended ones. You can have loads. You can have multiple ones with the same colour. I would massively recommend not doing that. When I've worked with clients that have Trello already and not finding it's working for them, it's usually, they normally have at least like 3 labels on the same colour. You want to be able to glance at your list and spot things quickly. Conveniently, I have no reds at the moment, but yeah, you want to be able to glance quickly and go, there's a red thing, that's urgent, I need to get that done. And so these are the ones that I would recommend. I will copy the list into the chat as well. There we go. So completed, it means I've completed it. It's nice when there's loads of green. It cheers me up. Underway, I've already started it. This one I also use when I've moved it onto my calendar. So if it's gone onto my weekly to-do list or onto my calendar at a specific time, I will mark it as underway. So I know I've literally started it. For me, the first step to starting something is it going onto my calendar. Sometimes I just start it and I'll tick it off as underway, just because I've got a spare 20 minutes and I just do it. But for me, most of the time, the first step is it going onto my calendar and it becomes underway. Semi-urgent is a Marmite label. Some love it, some hate it. So try it, see if you get on with it. Don't worry if you don't. I like a little bit of pre-warning if I'm coming towards a deadline. So if I'm like, I need to get it done within the next 4 weeks, I might mark it as semi-urgent. Urgent is urgent, does what it says on the tin. I'd highly recommend using the colour red. It seems to get the best reaction when you look at, unless you're colourblind, obviously. Then yeah, you'll see red and be like, yes, quick, I need to jump on that. But there are, I mean, you go into them, I could have that one as pink as well, and I think that would probably make me jump to it as well. But you've got loads of different colour options there. Let's get back to here. Ongoing is items that are not going to disappear off my list ever, unfortunately, or not for the foreseeable. You can kind of just see in the background thing, most of my content creation, I think all of my content creation list for work is ongoing. I'm always going to have to do something else for book club, be it reading the book or writing about the book or announcing the next book. These are all ongoing things. And it means that I know that they are constantly flowing. They're constantly moving. They're not static and stuck in my to-do list. We'll talk about that a bit more in a minute. And then pending external inputs. This one is a magical one. So say you send off an email about something. The to-do is still on your list. It's still waiting there to be done. And you're like, why isn't this not got done? It's pending external input. I need to follow up for that. I need to actually go and see if that person has replied to that email. I need to chase them up for that email or put another phone call or send another text, whatever it is. You've done your bit, but the whole thing isn't completed yet. And so marking it as pending external input, suddenly it's going to be blue up here. And then when you come out of the item, it will be blue here. So you open your list, having a look, what we're going to do today, blah, 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 blah. Oh, yeah, I haven't heard about the handmade drawers yet. I haven't heard about that for a while. That is actually pending external input. My partner's got some sanding to do on it because we do these together. Yeah, cool. Okay. Yeah, that's that. I need to follow up. Check with him. Might pop him an email, pop him a text. When do you think you're going to get that bit done? Because then I can plan the next stage of mine. Particularly if then there was reg next to it, it would be urgent. But I'm not able to do anything else because it's pending external input. So that's how I use the labels. The other label that can be quite handy, oh look, tap on them, we can see them as well. The other label that can be quite handy is if you are doing a shared board. So if I'm still working on a board with a client and I'm setting up for them, we might set up 2 additional labels, one for them. So say I'm helping Bob set up his list. We might have a Bob label and a Jess label. So if there's things in there that I'm going to be doing, I will label them mine. So Bob can see that the item is going to get done. Bob can put something on there and mark it that I'm going to be doing it. So we know it's been allocated, but Bob can look at it and go, oh, okay, no, that's a pink thing. I know Jess is doing that, that's fine. Or I could then add something on and it has a grey box and Bob goes on and goes, oh, Jess has added something that I am in charge of. Or we've got a pink and a grey box. So, we need to combine and get this project or task done together. So that's the only one labels that I haven't put on there. I said I only use my board as my own, but if you are going to share a board, I would have labels per person that's being shared with. I didn't need to press that, sorry. And that would be where you can create a new label. And you've got all these colours. So try and go for as different colours as possible, which would mean trying to max out at no more than 10 labels. Because let's be honest, these 3 colours are very similar. They're all purple. So try, if you're going to do any more than the labels that I've suggested, if you are going to have different people labels on there, that you are maxing out at the available variety of colours that you're not doing. You've got 6 and they're all the different shades of green. It's just not going to be as user friendly as having all the different ones. So let's go back into our board. No, that's more complicated. Let's not do that. We are going to add some fake work tasks. So this is going to be my Facebook content. And this is going to be my, trying to think of some random fake things that will go into different categories. Accounts. We've got our 3 things. So we're going to go into our first one, and labels. So the first time you go in, you'll have to create your labels. So we've got, no, wrong button, just completed. We are going to be, can't type, engage brain, way, semi-urgent. Urgent, because we need to shout urgent, so I like to put it into capitals. I'm very tired. My brain is broken. My brain, it's broken. I've got more. Yeah, cool. So we've got them all. I'm going to go in Facebook content now. That's an ongoing issue, but I also haven't created any Facebook content for a long time, so I might also want that to be urgent. So you can have as many ticked at the same time as you like. So I've now got those 2 on there. I've got a bit behind. Now I catch up. I can go in and I can take the urgent label off. So I go back in and I untick. It's no longer urgent, but it's still ongoing. Still ongoing. That's the basic of labels. Don't worry, we're going to be doing some more details in there as well in a minute. Go into accounts. I just need to get my accounts done. Where are we? 31st of January, I think they have to be done by, isn't it? I have done mine. Very smug, I'm honest about that. But it's urgent because it's 31st. It's underway because I've started doing it, and I've sent some stuff to my accountant, so it would be pending external input. And that would give me my row of colours. Client report for Bob is finished, great, done, completed it, and I've sent it off, and it's now sat there, so I know it's done. And say if you were sharing your board with someone else that also could have done Bob's client report, then they can come in and go, oh, cool, Bob's client report's done. It's fine, great, awesome. We are going to go into one of these. Any questions about labels before we move on? Awesome. I do find that's the one that I said, one of the most common mistakes with Trello is people don't use the labels, or they have too many. And it should be used as a very simple system. I kind of wish they had less available colours, and particularly that they didn't have any similar colours, that you could maybe pick a palette. That would be cool. You could just be like, I want pastel colours, or I want bold colours. And then they were all really different, as opposed to having too many that look the same. So yeah, avoid that. The goals one, you'll notice on my last one. So we're going to come into here, monthly goals. So I'm going to talk about this in the context of goals, but you can do this for any repeated activity. So what we can do in here is we can copy a whole board. We can also copy the list with inside it. So if you have anything that you need to do repeatedly that has lots of steps to it, create like a ghost board or a template board, and that's what monthly goals is for me at the bottom. So I'm going to go into mine, show you what I mean. So monthly goals. So this is my ghost board. You could even put monthly goals ghost there, or however you wanted to do it. So this is my template for this. Now this one is quite obviously a clear template because it's just for me to write in my goals. And as I say, we have a maximum of 3. So we've got 1, 2, and 3, and then each of them has 3 steps. So I would set up one like this. That is my plane. And when February moves up to the top, like we talked about, and January is completed, and I want to create March, I would come to this one and I would copy the board. So copy the board is going to bring up here. It's going to say, where do I want it? Yep, it's keeping it on my general life board. Yes, I'm keeping it in my goals. Position is where on the list it wants to be. So I actually want it to be in position 3. What am I going to call it? It's going to be called March. And it creates the board and puts it into the place. And then I can just move February up and January down. So as I've created that, I might as well just leave it there. But oh, I'm going to open it, that's handy. So at the moment, yeah, I think the only place I use that at the moment is my monthly goals. Just I'm having a rejig personally of my own Trello. But I put any ghost ones at the bottom of my list, so that I can duplicate them nice and easily, and it saves me having to type things out every time. So particularly with monthly goals, particularly as you're all members, and therefore hopefully we'll come to the monthly goal setting each month, that is definitely a top recommendation, to have that template there that you can copy each month when we go in and do those sessions, that you've then got the spaces to break them down. They're straight away there. You've got a nice overview, and you can pop all your goals into them, broken into these separate checklists. So let's go back to our thing and I will show you a checklist. So we're going to go to monthly goals. So checklists. So we've done labels, we've done checklists. Well, we're about to checklists. So we're going to call this one personal, because we set our 3 personal goals. And then we're going to just have 1, A, B. I won't do all of these, just as an example. And then 2, A, B, B, 3, A, B, C. So I've got that one there. So I'm like, great, got my personal one. I can now add the bits into it. But I've now got to create a professional one. So I'm going to go to checklists. And I've got here, copy items from. Now my professional one is going to look exactly the same as that, apart from a different title. So I can go into here, monthly goals, personal, rename it, no, add. And there it is. Got a professional one. And then you can do the same for family, home, friends. So I'll do that, just show you again. Checklist. I want to copy, either one is fine because they're both the same. I'm going to change the title, family, home, friends. I'm going to spell family right. I'm blaming my keyboard now, and I'm going to copy it over, and it's going to copy the whole list over. Voila, beautiful. And now I've got my whole card that I can duplicate whenever I want. Any questions on that, on setting up checklists? Amazing. Next one we have on this list is dates. So you can add actual date deadlines, Reminders will be sent to all members, so you can get reminders sent to you out for deadlines as well. I don't use this all the time for everything because I have enough infrastructure set elsewhere. But again, if this is a new system to you, you might want to use this more often. And it's also particularly good if you are sharing the workload. If you've got a few people using this one, then it might be good to have deadlines so everyone gets sent automated reminders. So you can set up little deadlines in here. Attachments. So you can attach from lots of different places. You can attach from in lots of different formats as well. So you can attach your attach Word documents and pictures and all these different kind of things. So I'm going to attach a picture in here. So when you first attach a picture, the first one will become the cover picture. But look at this. It completely mucks up the flow of your list. So you can use that to your advantage if you need something to really, really stand out. But just be aware, because again, I've managed people's Trello boards before where they've attached pictures and it's just made a mess of being able to manage their board. So all you need to do is remove it as a cover. Remove cover. Keeps the picture. It means that it's not a cover thing, so you can touch pictures. Question, my lovely.
Yes, with regards to the dates in the calendar, does it sync to Google Calendar?
Oh, no, it's for reminders. I had to think then. No, so it's
Okay.
it sends you reminders. Let's try one. I haven't set up a new one for a while. I'm now having brain fog because I know it's connected. This connects to Google Drive, so it would make sense to do. Let's do a at the time it's due. I'm going to say it's due today. No, I don't think it normally would pop up a box then to say, do you want to add this to your Google Calendar, wouldn't it? So I'm going to go with no, it doesn't suit to Google Calendar. You're going to get.
Okay, shame.
Yeah, I said there's always new features. There's so many. Like you can even add dates when I first started using Trello. So there's always new, and it might be that that's a paid feature. Instead, I don't use the paid features on it only ever. Because also, if I'm setting people up on something for the first time, I don't want them to have to pay for an app they might not use enough. Cool. Attachments. Covers, you can just literally add a cover. So if you really do need something to pop out, but why would limit the amount of covers? Because if you have a cover, it's going to spread these out, which is going to make it harder to see everything in a glance. And what we want to be able to do is feel not overwhelmed by our to-do list. One of the helpful ways is if we can see everything at a glance, looking across those. Let's open up another one of these. So we've got cover as attachments. Then our other actions, you can move it. So we can move it to a different board, a different list within your board. We can copy it. We can make it into a template. This is, yeah, I just copy. Archive and share starts to get a bit more complicated. So I tend to just use move, copy, and archive are your key ones down there. I might do at some point, maybe later in the year, a more extreme Trello with things like the automations. But for the moment, we are, like I said, I find that a lot of it, you just get overwhelmed if you start adding too much of the capacity in it. And a tool is only as good as you manage it. So the more features you've got to manage, the more work you've got to do to manage it. Sometimes it just becomes a bit too much. So that is all the breakdowns with adding the different lists inside. Attached documents. I'm just checking my notes to make sure I've not forgotten anything. Right, management and maintenance. Sorry, we're running a little over, but this is the last point on it. Like you said, the only with any of these tools, there is going to be a certain level of things that you've got to manage. You can't just set it up and think it's going to do all the work for you. You've still got to do the work, you've still got to tick off the things, you've still got to check in with what you've decided to do. I find this a lot of people will set their goals, but then they won't be regularly checking in. And the system I teach is the weekly review, and then we have our monthly goal setting. So the monthly goal setting, we, like I said, we're going to do as a live every month. I think is set it up as the 4th Monday of the month. Let me just double check on that. It's not the right calendar. I'm fairly confident. I will put it in the WhatsApp group. I'm pretty sure I've set it up as being the 4th Monday of the month. We did it on something like a Thursday in December just because of Christmas and how that fell. But it's also set up in the Google Calendar plugin, Happy Lifestyle Club, which I'll send the, in fact, I can probably share you the link for that now as well. So we've got a Google Calendar plugin for the membership now, so that everything that's happening in the membership will appear in your Google Calendar, so that you don't miss out on anything. Where is my, too many things on my screen. Where's my list of links? Club and Chical. I have a document in my notes that has all like the essential links that I use a lot. So there we go. That is the link to the Google Calendar. That means that everything that's happening within a Happy Lifestyle Club or other workshops that I'm kind of running that you get for free will all automatically appear in your Google Calendar if you add that link. So all the things, so that will be that the monthly ones will all pop up in, they'll all come up in your calendar. All your monthly events will then appear in your calendar. So we've got that monthly one, and then we've got the weekly review. So anyone that's done the weekly review with me before, when we've done it as a live, I've always said this, I refer to my Trello board as being my long-term to-do list, that it's always, I've got my short-term to-do list, which is my notebook. Actually, I'm filming later this afternoon because I'm going from my old one. I've got myself a shiny new one. So that is my like weekly one, and then I use my Trello as my long-term to-do list. So having that weekly review check-in means that it's part of my system for managing and maintaining my Trello, because otherwise it will just sit there. And I've done this with clients where I've set it up for them and then nothing gets done, and they're like, I don't feel like Trello's working for me. And I said, well, when's the last time you checked it? And they're like, oh. And it's like, okay, so let's get a routine, and if you're just starting out, you will find that you need to check it more often. It might be something that you check each morning to remind yourself until you've got your systems in place. But I've had them with, like, to the point with clients where I text them every morning to be like, morning, check your Trello. Morning, check your Trello. If you are not checking it, if you are not maintaining it, it will never move forward. You'll never get it to work for you. And this is like my base go-to when I'm setting up my monthly goals. So when we've done those monthly goal setting sessions in the membership, it's coming into here. It's making sure, not just making sure that I've got my monthly goals in a list here, but it's being able to refer to my life goal affirmations. It's being able to refer to all the other lists that we've set up today, to see what need to be my priorities for this month, what is going to be happening in February to make sure that I'm moving towards those 2023 goals. We aren't doing the weekly reviews as lives at the moment, but there is an audio follow along that has the music in between as well. So it's got each of the questions for the weekly review. So I speak, and then there's some music, timed music to help you to do it. And it's based on getting it done within an hour. If you've not done the weekly review before, you might need to pause in the music and spend a little bit more time on each section, but it is designed to be organising your next week within an hour, that you can listen along to that audio and plan it all out. There's also an ebook and like tick sheets and stuff in the membership. And if you have the book, then a couple of you do, there's a worksheet for it in there as well. So there's 50, I think I put 54 or 56 copies in there. So that you can do 12 months worth, so that you can work through all the lists, but you could do that with the audio I'm actually going to record a video soon as well on setting your planner book up. But you can listen to the audio and go through, excuse me, you can listen to the audio, go through the sheet, but there's a printable tick sheet as well in the membership downloadable section. And again, in there, we're going into our Trello, we're looking at our long-term to-do list, and that becomes part of the routine for staying on top of this. But I just cannot reiterate it hard enough. Trello will not just magically work for you. You need to be going in and checking on it. You need to be updating it, removing the things that no longer serve you. And just before so if you've got any questions, don't forget, we've got the question session on Monday. So that's Monday at 8 o'clock UK time. That's included with this one. So if there are any, if you play around and get set up and find you've got more questions, we can go into loads of them deep on Monday as well. But also, you know me, message me. We've got the membership WhatsApp now, shoot me a message in there, stick it on the forum in the membership, any of those things, and I'll be about. And if it's a longer question that I need to screen share, then I'll answer it on Monday, and the recording of Monday will also go into the membership too. Don't worry about that. But I'm just going to jump back to mine a second. Very impressed that my internet's held up. It's been particularly dodgy, and then we'll do any. So I'm always trying to make sure that this is as minimal as possible, that I want to be able to try. So most of mine, if I scroll to the bottom of my list, most of them will fit on my whole screen. This is actually smaller. I know you can only see a section of my screen. I can actually make my screen quite a bit bigger. So most of my lists, I don't have to scroll too far down. Not too far down. I want all the key things I want to be able to have at the top, and I want to be able to adjust. So you're moving things around. If you've got things that are of a higher priority, move them further up your list. Oh, what's going on here? I spoke too soon with the internet. It's going to play around now, but I want to be able to move things around. This is another good example of where we were talking about the cover picture, of it being an actual useful thing. This is my yearly overview for everything that's going on within the membership. So actually, I want that as a cover picture. I want that to stand out. I want that to jump out at me when I open it. Everything below it is sort of urgent that I don't need to refer to as often. All my top key things, my urgent to-dos, my club general, my weekly, my monthly tasks are all at the top. So it's keeping those key ones at the top, but having a place to put the other ones into. And I said, the moment I don't have that completed list which we talked about earlier, but you can set it up so once you label something as completed, it moves to your completed list as well. Like I said, depending on the demand, we might do a workshop that goes more into those sort of nitty-gritty bits and pieces, but I think for now it's probably easier if you have individual questions about those kind of bits, and that I can sort out. And like I said, do shoot me any questions, I can either help with separately or we can answer on Monday. And if you're watching this on replay, I should probably say that as well, if you're watching this on replay, you can still send me messages even if the Monday Q&A has happened. Still shoot me messages to get you set up. That's absolutely fine. Abana, what was your question for today, my darling?
Right, so this is something maybe you pick up on Monday, but how does the monthlies feed into your dailies and your weekly? Where would you set that up, your daily activities and your weekly activities?
Cool. So I have my I'm going to use my old one because the other one is completely empty at the moment. Normally I would do this in Twixmas, but I wanted to film it, and I didn't take my tripod and stuff away with me, so unfortunately my new yearly one has not been set up yet. I might do it today, but like I said, Sunday we had some bad news, so I might also curl up on the sofa with my daughter in a fluffy blanket after this. So this is my weekly list. Crikey, this is a bit of a mess because it's my Christmas ones, and there wasn't very much on my weekly one over Christmas. So these are my weekly to-do lists. My Trello is my long-term to-do list. When I set up what I need to get done within the week, it might be that I've written something down. So during the week, I always carry a pen with it. I always say it's essential. Your weekly to-do list should always have a space for a pen. There should always be a pen stored with it. I'm very precious about this pen. If people ask to borrow a pen, I'm like, no, not taking it off my to-do list. So it might be that I've just popped things down, but then in the weekly review, we go into the Trello board and I will tick off things that have been done. I will do a little mini tidy up, and I will move anything that I go, actually, yeah, this is a this week job, this is a this week job. I will then move on to my weekly to-do list. There's then two options for how I would split what's on here. I would either time block it specifically onto my calendar. That is my personal preferred method, that I use this as my guide for what needs to go be timed blocked. And if you don't know what time blocking is, so it's literally giving it a block of time, a physical block of time on my calendar, and saying, this is my block to write the to-do list workshop. Like, this is the block to send my client consultation form to Fred. See, I like the names Bob and Fred. I use those a lot. And I'd specifically time block it out. If I've got more chaotic years, and I talk about this a lot because our energies fluctuate, we've got things going on, crisis happens. If I am already in a week like that, so for me, that could be something really bad's happened, like we've got this week. It could be that it's half term, which is like I come out of my routine, but not enough out of my routine to have a new routine. So I'll have like a summer holiday routine, but for half terms, there's no point in resetting your entire life for 1 week. Then what I will do is I will just check this book. So instead of time blocking it, each morning I will check my book and I would just set my top 3 priorities, which is what we do in the WhatsApp group and the Facebook group, whichever one you prefer. So in the WhatsApp group, I just literally send a message each morning saying, what's everyone's top 3 priorities? And you can check your weekly list and be like, right, these are the 3 things that I need to get done today to support everything else. It's like, this supports the long-term list. Your top 3 priorities supports this. I still, if I time block, I still set my top 3 priorities. Because even within a day, things happen and change everything. So I will look at this, I will look at what's on my calendar, and I'll say, what are my top 3 priorities today? If it all goes tits up, what are the 3 things that I really, really want to get done today? And I will still make a note of those. So when I'm setting my top 3 priorities, wherever you see me post them, chances are that there are other things in my calendar as well, but I've looked at my day and gone, these are the top 3 things. If school phone and I've got to pick the little one up, these are still 3 things that I want to try and find a way to do. And you see, today, my first priority for today was to have a lazy morning in bed cuddling with my daughter, which we did. I crawled out of bed about 20 minutes before this started. Because that was my top priority today, because it's her last day of the Christmas holidays and she's back to school tomorrow. I thought I had another day. I thought she went back on Thursday. But I don't. She goes back tomorrow. I'm gutted. So that was my top 3 priorities. So that's how my weekly is always the same. My long-term to-do lists and my monthly is always the same. But how I take it from here into my week, I have those 2 variations. I think most of you in this group will know I'm ADHD, so I'm autistic and ADHD, and we've had a very tricky 18 months, and then obviously we've had what happened on Sunday as well, and a lot of us have lives like that. I know we've got members in the group with long-term health conditions and chronic illness. I know we've got neurodiversity within the group, we've got parents within the group, we've got people that are going, there's always something that will change how we need to adapt. And I find for me, those 2 systems usually cover most scenarios. We either have a really organised, time-blocked week where we can respond beautifully to everything we've planned in our calendar, or we are going to have to take it day by day, look at our weekly goals, look at what we want to get done that week, and be like, what are my top 3 this week? Because that is what are my top 3 today? Because that's all I've got the capacity for. I don't know what it is about the number 3. It's just magical. It's just magical. And it's rare I don't get my 3 done. And I think part of that is also over time, the more you do this, the more you get used to setting your expectations realistically for what you are able to do. And I think, I think it was yourself who saying, well, I find there's too many steps to my 3. And I was just like, what is the thing that makes me always get my 3 done? And I realized it's because my 3 priorities can have no more than 3 steps to them. So I say you set 3 priorities, maximum 3 priorities every day. It can be less, but it can't be more. They need to be specific and tick offable, and they need to have no more than 3 steps each. And for me, a step to a task or a to-do can't be overwhelming. So if the step feels overwhelming, it's too big a step and you have to break it down again. If you break it down to the point where it is to the step is not overwhelming anymore, and you've got 6 steps, that is 2 priorities. That is not 1 priority. And it's like that magic 3. It's always coming. What I would like to get to is where 3 working days a week is magic for the entire world, where we work 3 days a week and we have a 4-day weekend. That's the power of 3. Excuse me. That's where I think society should go, and I think it would solve all the problems in the world if we did that. Everyone would be happier if they only had to work 3 days a week. Let's create a world where 3 is how we live. Anyway, that was a bit of an emotional rant as well, as hopefully useful. Any other questions for now, for today? The replay for this will go up in the membership area. I will get this up by the end of today as well. So if you missed the beginning bit, we kicked off at 11. I know I'd said an hour, but we've gone over a little bit.
Thank you, Jessica.
You're welcome, my lovely. And it said message WhatsApp group if you've got any message, anything urgent, or just want to give me advance warning of what really complicated question you're going to come up with on Monday. But you don't have to tell me ahead of Monday. You can just come along and say how you've got on. You can use it as a bit of an accountability date to get your board set up and going. So it said I'll get this up today. That's nearly a week. To get this one going. And yes, I hope that's helpful. I know it's helpful. It is helpful. You just have to action it. That's what makes it helpful, isn't it? It's not as nice cold, but it still tastes like salted caramel, so we'll go with it. But have an amazing day. Sally, it was lovely to see you. Sorry I missed you at the beginning. At this meeting started. Oh, no worries. Well, the replay will be up. How do I see the replay? When is it available? The replay will be up by the end of today. I'll pop in the WhatsApp group when it is up, and it will go into the video section in the membership. So there's lots of other video sections in the membership. You should get, because you've only just joined up, haven't you, Sally? You should get an email that will take you to the link of the tour of the membership. It's like a little video tour. It's also on my YouTube channel, and that will show you where everything is, because there's printables and downloadables, there's courses, there's the audio section, so the weekly review I was talking about, the audio for that's in the audio library, and then there's all the other videos in the downloadable section as well. And then we'll be back on Monday, so if you've got any other questions. Oh, it doesn't matter, Sally, no problem. But I will sign off there, and I will see everyone soon. And if you're watching this on replay, again, you can still send me questions and things, even if it is after the Q&A section on Monday, the 16th of January. I'll see everyone soon. Ta-ta for now.
If you want to be happy, it's gonna have to be a lifestyle switch. And if you want to be happy, you're gonna have to do the work in deep. Quick fixes become fads and diets too. Take back your time and live your life for you. 'Cause if you want to be happy, it's gonna have to be a lifestyle switch.